The sponsor for today's podcast is Repower Daily Electrolytes. Hello, I'm Kieran O'Connor, and this is episode 12 of the Calculated Risk podcast. Today, I am joined by Ammar Akhtar. Ammar is a multiple award winner and the CEO and founder of Finalrentals. Finalrentals are one of Wales' fastest growing scale-ups in the mobility space. They have over 500 different locations in 51 different countries. Hello, Ammar. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And by the way, I've seen a few of your episodes. I think you're doing incredible work, especially for the South Wales entrepreneurship community. Is fantastic.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear. I'm trying to fly the flag and promote people within South Wales and let people know that there's people building good things here. So
Well, absolutely. I think that's a great great cause, great initiative. I think we need more voices to be heard, because there's so many entrepreneurs here who have done amazing work and still doing. And I think that they should be given some limelight, and that's what you're doing.
We need to promote them. Yeah, cool. Start the same every way. Here's a copy of my book. I
brilliant.
don't think
Thank
you have a
you.
copy of that previously, so
No,
make sure you look after
I'm
that.
afraid I don't.
Maybe
Guilty.
maybe I can sign it one day.
Now I have it.
Yeah.
No, I'll get it signed
Definitely.
right now.
Yeah. We start the podcast the same way every time. We like to talk about the risks that people have
Yes.
taken. We've had lots of different variations. Some people are very risk averse, some maybe not so much. So let's go back in time. What was the first big risk you can remember in your professional career, and how did you feel at the time?
So, as you know, I come from Pakistan, right? So born and raised in Karachi, studied Java, good old days when you learn Java, Oracle, and that was like a, let's say, certificate of a great career, that you'll have a great career. So my first job was not a job, but internship in Microsoft in Pakistan, and I was doing great. I was selling Windows CDs. They used to call it Empower program. So you sell Windows, Microsoft Word, and all the full Microsoft package to the people and companies in Pakistan, because it was very big on piracy, back in those days. So in 6 months' time, I finished my internship. I became the assistant manager, and I resigned in 2 years' time. And I still remember when I resigned, my uncle was like, "You have done a massive mistake. You were working for such a big organization. You could have gone places." And I just resigned and I started my own business. So that was my first risk, right? Without knowing that it was a risk. I didn't know it is called risk.
Yeah.
For me, it was another chapter.
Wow. And now a message from our sponsor, Repower Daily Electrolytes. Picture this. You're in the middle of a busy day, work deadlines, family chaos. But without realizing it, your brain is running on empty. Just a 1% drop in hydration can tank your focus, reaction time, even your mood. That's why Repower Daily Electrolytes created the ultimate hydration formula. Packed with the right electrolytes your brain craves. Forget plain water. Level up your energy, sharpen your mind, and feel alive again. Stay sharp, stay strong, and hydrate smarter with Repower Daily Electrolytes. And you can use our code PLACE10 to get 10% off your first order. I want to stay on that point for a minute. So you went from an intern to an assistant manager. If you can think back, why did they promote you to such a senior position within such a short space of time? What were you doing that was different to everyone else?
So I was adding extra hours, every day at work to learn new things, because Microsoft was this big organizations, and that time it was also a part of a very, very big group. They had a very nice office in the Forum Mall, the first ever mall we had in Karachi. So it was a fun place to be, and I was there learning new things. I would learn new sales techniques. I would learn new reporting, let's say tools from ASP3 to ASP.NET and all those things. So the manager who was working there, was my first boss. He was from the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton Business School, the Ivy League, from US. And he was like, "This is insane. I didn't know that there are people in Pakistan who can stay at work after 5 p.m." I said, "No, I mean that's not common, but when one has to put effort." So I thought that I was able to pass the exams. So it was a proper examination. Like every 3 months you pass an exam to go to the next stage. So academically, I think I was very good. Very good in maths. So that also helped me. Plus, also I was a people person. I was working with people who were far more older than me, and I was able to have a chat with them, or hold them to a point, where and have a debate, for example.
Yeah,
I think that was something that was important for them.
Definitely, yeah. So the big leap was you leaving a secure job. You could have been at Microsoft for a very long time to start your own business, which we'll come on to now. So fast forward now, a decade or two later, what's your relationship like with risk now?
So when you grow as a founder, right? So one thing, I must tell you that since I've left that first job, that was my first and the last job. So I've been an entrepreneur since almost 21 years. I'm 41 now, right? So 21 years of entrepreneurship, right? So when you are in this kind of business, for like 2 decades, as you mentioned, you sort of stop thinking about risk. You look at it like a calculated next step.
Mm.
Sometimes it will pay off. Sometimes it will not pay off. But you don't want to die wondering, right? That's what the founder mentality is. Like, I don't want to die wondering that, oh, I didn't try that aspect of this tool, or I didn't try that marketing campaign. It could have done something else. So my relationship with risk right now is almost like it's a love and hate relationship, but it's not bad.
Good. Yeah. So you've reframed it, and it's not a risk, which can sometimes be a negative word. You've seen it as a next step, which can pay off or may not pay off, but you probably learn from that next step as well.
Yeah, because you're also a founder, you will understand that you can go this far by being scared, by being scared about things, like, or by being risk averse. Right? And if you look at any bigger organization that had a turnaround, starting from Microsoft to Apple to all these big organizations, they have had that moment of, oh, it's not paying off, or is it working at all, for example. That's how I see it, right? So my life is to find new ways, or have a blue ocean thinking and say, okay, it is done like this. And don't forget, I work in an industry that is 100 years old, car rental, right? So it was always done like this. That's the scary thing that I hear every single day. It's always done like this. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we have to challenge that.
People are scared of change, right? Such monumental change. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll come on to that. So let's go back to you've left Microsoft, your first business you started. There's going to be lots of people who are watching who might be just starting a business, maybe thinking about founding a business. Talk us through the process. Like, what business was it, and how did you get started?
So the inspiration was Java. So at that time, Java was very big, right? And people were building almost everything on Java. There were Java games and all those things. I'm talking about before the App Store era, before these big, nice, swanky phones. I'm talking about the age of those, nice fat Nokia phones with color screens, the Symbian phones, the 6600 and all those phones, right? So in Microsoft, we had a research, project where we built a few games in Java, right? And that was fascinating for me. I'm like, this is fantastic. And I was working with some incredible developers, and I'm like, you know what? This can actually be this can be a business. Like it's not a project. This can actually be a proper business. So I resigned and I started Pakistan's first ever game development company.
The first ever.
First ever in Pakistan,
Wow.
and we were building mobile games.
And how old were you at that age?
I would say, I think, 19 and a half, 1980, like that.
Yeah, so that's a very young age to start a business. How did you have that entrepreneurial mindset, if you like, to think, well, no, this isn't a project. This could actually be a business. Where did you get that from?
For my first boss, that guy who was, working with us in the internship program, he was incredible. He was influential. So he was incredibly open to ideas, and he would make you do things out of your comfort zone. So, and he will tell you what is entrepreneurship, what is Scott McNeely, who is he, Bill Gates, the story, and all those things that we hear now. He was very, very forward thinking, and that sort of mindset, really helped me to think about things differently. Second and most important thing is, see, I come from a very poor family. I don't want to come across as a victim. It's not like that. We are all, we are all a product of our life, the context that happened to us yesterday. So we were 7 siblings. I'm the eldest. And my father was at that time in Saudi. He was trying to make ends meet. He was trying to do something in his life. And I was working with my mom to run the family. And we had so much to do that I was absolutely clear that our job will not pay our bills. Have to find something else. So that was the inspiration. Like, let's do something else, because the job is not working. And then I got the idea of these games, right? And then I started the company, first ever company in Pakistan for mobile games. And in 2 years' time, I sold it to a very big group in Pakistan.
Wow. We fast forwarded to the 2 year growth and the exit there. So that's incredible for a first business. Well done. What can you, to give an overview of those 2 years, what sort of things can you think back that you learned and you've maybe taken away and maybe still use today?
So those 2 years were funny. Like, they were like whirlwind, to be honest, because I was making a lot of money. I was making £5,000 a week, right, from those games and selling them online through SMS, all the different platforms. And it was great. I started with 3 people, and I had 25 people working in that company in 2 years. It was in my uncle's office. He's no more, God bless him, but he gave me his office. First, it was like a small room, and then in 6 months, I had half of his office. It was, under my organization's name. It was fun. So again, what I learned in those 2 years is that, number one, being scared of not making money. So that just went out of my head. It sort of taught me that you can do whatever you can, and in terms of making money, growing your life is limitless. All you need to do is make the most out of your time and look at things around you. Maybe in those days it was mobile games or Java. Today that's AI, for example. If you want to compare the time and age, right? So those 2 years were incredible. I learned a lot, made so many mistakes, hired so many people, fired so many people, made a lot of friends, made a lot of enemies as well, right? So those 2 years were just incredible.
Did you have anyone around you? Because you were such a young age, right? Did you have any, let's call them mentors or advisors to the business, or were you, I'm making money, I'm just going to hire?
Unfortunately, I didn't have any mentors at that time. So like you said, making money, let's hire more people, let's buy more phones, let's buy this new Moto Razor in those days, let's buy this new laptop, all that, right? So I was making money, I was spending also, in double speed, not having any P&L or looking at any, let's say, documentation of,
Just checking the bank balance.
That's it. What's the balance? Great. I guess I can buy this. It was almost like that.
Yeah.
But again, I learned a lot in those 2 years. It made me a better person.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it, especially at such a young age. Learn your own mistakes, make your own lessons to take with you moving forward. So, and talk to me about the exit of that. How did a young man like you navigate that exit process?
So first thing first, that exit was not planned by me. I'll be completely honest. So those days were very strange, in Pakistan, because we had military dictatorship. So Musharraf was the president. He was the military dictator, and then he became the president. Good thing about him was he was spending a lot of money on R&D. So he wanted to grow the country. He wanted to bring in a lot of people in. He wanted to build talent. So he was doing all that, which is great. So I was a part of that, let's say, regime, if you want to call it. So we had Pakistan Software Export Board. We had different groups. So I was a part of those groups. And I was the odd one out, because I was literally 19 and a half, 20 years old in that group. And others were like 50, 60, 70. I'm like, what's going on here, right? So we had Karachi Expo Center, where we, like ICC Wales, where we had this thing called ITCN, the IT Commerce Network Asia Conference. And I was exhibiting in there under the government's umbrella. It was all paid for. It was fantastic. So I was there exhibiting our games. We had different screens, and people were like, what the hell is going on here? All these games, all these things are done here in Karachi. Yeah, of course. They're all built in here. Wow, that's crazy. So we met a few people, and they're like, we want to buy it. We would like to buy your company. And I did not know what exactly is that. So buy my company, okay? So which game you want to buy? No, we will take it all. Okay. What am I going to do? Nothing. You'll get the money. Okay. So what am I selling you? The source code. Okay, but what's so special in that? I was just so young to understand all these things. But yes, but fortunately, the company that was taking the company, it was great, and we just sold it. It was an easy exit. There was no problem. And also, I want to tell you one little story. So in Pakistan, we have many GSM companies. There's huge competition in on the mobile data and mobile companies. So I had a small meeting in a company called Telenor, right? So it was a big building. So I had a meeting somewhere, with somebody at the ground floor, and they asked me, okay, show me what you're doing, kid. Just come and show me what you're doing. Yeah. So that's what I've built. That's what I built. You're like, hang on a minute. All this is built by you. Yes. It is not American product. No, it's not American. It's built here. Come with me. Took me to the top floor, to the VP. Meet this guy. He has built this. We should buy something from him. So that guy also made some connections. So it was a deal that came from that sort of a meeting, sort of connections.
Yeah.
That you must meet this guy. He's building something crazy in here.
Wow.
So that's how the deal went on.
Yeah. So the first company you built, you sold, which is quite a nice feeling. You probably don't know anything different now because some people start companies and fail and pivot and maybe start a new company. First one you built, you sold.
That's right.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
first
you
one I built, I sold. But after that, I could not sell anything as yet.
Yet.
Fingers crossed. But
Yet. So you sold that business. What was the logical next step? You've gained some money. You know, the bank balance might be looking a bit healthier. What do you do then?
so sold that business, and then I moved to Dubai, right? Because in November on the same year, so I sold in January 2007, but 2006 in November I went to Dubai. So we also had an exhibition, it's called GTEX. It's a very big exhibition for tech, and I was there. And the moment I landed in Dubai, I'm like, man, this place is so fast, just like me. We should be here. I should be here, but it was expensive. It was not easy. But yeah, when I sold the business, I moved to Dubai, and I lived there for 17 years. Yeah, so it's a
Wow.
bit crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have an overview of your time in Dubai then. How many businesses did you start over there? Did you sell any? Let's start from the beginning. What was the first sort of money coming into the bank that you gained when actually on the ground in Dubai?
So Dubai was a bit strange time because it was not like Pakistan. It was not like a third world country. It was developing. It was very fast, and it was very expensive, right? And I just couldn't understand Dubai for the first 2 years. I'll be completely honest with you. It was a great place to be, great place to party, great place to go out, meet friends, and just enjoy if you have money, for example. But it wasn't. I just couldn't understand it, in the first couple of years. And I have to be honest with you, when I sold that business in Pakistan, I lost all that money in the first 2 years. Spent in partying, doing, let's say, erratic things, for example, buying things that I didn't need, for example, and it wasn't great. But then what happened? I met a guy in GTEX when I was in GTEX in 2006, and he now started a company called Budget Rent a Car. So Budget is a very, very big brand, as you know. It's a brand, globally recognized brand. And Budget was coming to the UAE at that time as a franchise. And this organization, the sheikh of the organization, he took that license as a franchisee. So he got my number from somewhere and said, and I got a message. And those days we used to communicate on MSN Messenger and Orkut.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. Yeah, good old days. Got a message. Oh wow. Oh great. So I met the company, met them. They said, you are like our son. You will build our whole project. Building the website for Budget Rent a Car. So I worked there for 2 years as a consultant, as an independent consultant. Build a website, right? Learn a lot about car rentals while I was building. We were benchmarked with the likes of Expedia and other platforms in those. They were also new, by the way, in those days as well. So yeah, 2 years worked on that project with all my heart. For me, it was a project. I didn't care about who will book the car. I didn't care about that. Who will buy and all that. For me, it was a great project, a great product. Built it, launched it. We had our first car rented in the first 6 hours.
Wow.
Okay. It became a very big success. Everybody was talking about it. This guy has built this website for Budget. So then everybody came to me. Thrifty, you name it, Thrifty, Enterprise, Europe Car, Dollar Rent a Car, Dubai, all these big groups. They wanted me to work for them or build the software for them. So I worked within the industry for 17 years as an independent CTO, if you want to call it. I've built for almost everybody in Dubai. Every car hire business in Dubai, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman as well. So yeah, so I became this expert of the car rental, someone who cracked it basically.
You were the go-to man in Dubai for car rental.
Yeah, brought new concepts in, brought in the WhatsApp-based selling, rent a car through WhatsApp, rent a car through Facebook Messenger, brought all those social, selling stuff. So yeah, it was a great journey. After that.
Well, that sounds like a lot of work, very exciting work. Did you have a team around you helping, or were you the one-man show and you were building everything?
No, I actually built a proper tech powerhouse that was around car rental. So we had specialized people who will build a mobile application for you. And the good thing is that I came up with the idea of building a hybrid mobile application. So write once and it will work on both Android and iOS, which was unique in those days. We were like, wow, okay, that was crazy thought in those days. I brought the concept of cloud. Before the AWS and all those things, everything was on-prem in the UAE. It was in the rack space. It was in front of you. So I brought the concept of cloud. Let's cloudify this thing. It's not working like that. Let's bring in dynamic DNS and all those. So all those concepts, funny enough, they're still being used while I'm away from from Dubai. But I think my contribution to the car hire world in Dubai, has been significant.
Yeah, you must be famous over there. They have a statue of you
In
up
my
somewhere?
industry, I'm quite famous.
Yeah.
But no, not famous enough to have a
We
statue.
need to get a statue. I'm gonna petition for that.
Might take a couple of 100 years, but
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure.
So those 17
I'll be
years.
alive
in
by then. Yeah.
Yeah, those 17 years in Dubai. Then talk to me about like tell me the most difficult or challenging, maybe complex application or build that you had over there.
So there were many challenging situations and applications that I've built. I always feel that as a founder or as an entrepreneur, there are moments in life that they're so difficult. They're so difficult that if you go through them successfully, they change something inside you. Some of your processing speed
Mm.
and your wiring changes. You become a different person. It can be in 5 minutes. It can be in 1 hour. It can be in 2 years. Right? It's that moment. So I have had a few moments, that really changed my life. When I think of myself as a tech entrepreneur, for example. See, it's very easy to build today, to build a website. It's very easy to buy off-the-shelf software. We are looking at no-code tools. Life has changed. In my days were different. We used to code on Notepad.
Mm.
Today, these guys have IDEs and all these tools. Very easy. It's easy to code. So we were working on a product that was a loyalty program. So the first ever car rental loyalty program in the UAE, and I was assigned that project. Okay, and that project was so enormous that I was like, how to do it, because it was an offline Oracle database that you have to connect to an online cloud, and it should work seamlessly. It's about money here, points. You redeem points, and you earn points on what you buy and all those things. It was insane. So that was one project where when we went live, we saw that it was failing, money was going elsewhere, and all those things, and we fixed it in like literally in 8 minutes. And those 8 minutes were the best of my life. I still remember those 8 minutes.
Wow.
Because bookings are coming in, right? You have to fix it. Imagine a bank, right? ATM, everything is running, and you have to fix it. So I felt like I was running a bank.
I imagine those 8 minutes were pretty long and chaotic.
So, to be completely honest, for me, no. But for my CTO at that time, they were. So he came to me in the first minute and he said, Ammar, we have to shut it down now. And I said, why is that? And he told me the actual situation.
Mm.
That's exactly what is happening here. Right. Okay. Right. And because my strength is in terms of tech. I'm very good in terms of computation, string manipulation. So when he told me that problem, I'm like, right, I have a fix for that. Okay, did some changes, pushed the code, then tweaked it. 8 minutes, like I said, we were on.
Wow.
So that was one example of doing things in runtime.
Mm.
So that was one element. Second element that happened with me is don't forget I was a tech guy, right? I studied tech. I was not coming from this office politics or I had no idea. I was a naive person, highly skilled, naive guy who can build anything you want, but he doesn't understand office politics, does not understand the corporate letters. I didn't understand all that, right? A naive coder or engineer. That's who I was, right? So when I started working with these big corporates, like for example, Dollar Thrifty and all these big guys, some of these guys, they used to have sales meetings. And in those sales meetings, they would want to put you on the spot and say, hey, Ammar, this website that you have built is not making any money for us. Okay. I'm like, I have built a website. Why do I have to care if it makes money or not? That's your job.
Mm.
I mean, keeping it simple, right? So one such meeting. So I was there, and I was pulled into a meeting, and I see a room with 50 people. I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? I'm not sure. Yeah. So Ammar, we have a problem. Okay, what's the problem, sir? We built this website. Last year it made $500,000. This year it is making $250,000. Okay. Previous website was shit. This is great, but I don't know what's happening. Great. Do you agree that this website is great? Yeah, it is great. Okay. It's not, but it's not making any money. Okay. But with due respect, what do I have to do with that? I don't know what's your marketing strategy right now. I don't know what's the market like at the moment. I don't know what's the price per car at the moment. I don't know which cars you have. There's so many things attached here. I've done my job. Yeah, but you're not getting it. We think it's your fault. Okay. So me being naive and blunt I said, you know what, you're talking nonsense. And I'm saying this to the VP of sales, who is across the other table
Yeah.
with 50 of his salespeople. Talking nonsense. I disagree with you. Okay, this guy is arrogant. We don't want to work with him, and they all walked out. Let's cancel this contract. We don't want to work with. He thinks that he's Bill Gates and all that jazz and stuff like that. Okay, so okay. Then after 5 minutes, this other guy came in. I think he was the head of purchase. He said, "Listen, they do this with every supplier. You are the first guy who said to them what should have been told years ago. Great. You have two options. You can also go back to your office. You will receive a letter that this is cancelled as a contract, or you find another way." Okay. In those moments, I was doing my calculation. Right. So I went to the guy the VP of sales, older guy. So I went to his room. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so busy right now. I'm not here to meet any walk-ins." That's what he said. I still walked in and I said, "Listen, technology is just a leverage. It's just a lever for business. It is not business. I built technology, right? You're not getting business that you anticipated or that you forecasted. I understand. We need to find a way why, right? But it's not my fault. Why? Because it's running as I speak with you. Someone can still book a car, but that someone is not coming to the website. Why? Because you're not doing any marketing, right? So that's a different department. That's a different action. That's absolutely a different thing. Yeah, you're right. I'm getting older at the moment. Let's have a coffee. Let's chat through this. So I sorted that out. And there are many such situations. I can just go on and on. So,
Yeah. So what did you learn from a situation like that? Speaking to someone who's older, telling you that you're wrong, you stood up for yourself, which is great. What do you take away from that?
In life, you will come across situations where you will be challenged in a very wrong way, and you are on the right side, right? Just hold your composure. I think what happens is we try to mirror, right? So if someone is shouting, we also want to shout, right? So one thing in this whole conversation, one thing that I've learned about myself actually. So I'm not a guy who will have a conflict or have a fight. I'm not that person. I'm not a person who will confront. I'm more a political person, who will just try to understand what's going on and let's dissect this and stuff, right? So I didn't raise my voice in that whole conversation. I never felt that I was on the wrong side. I never felt I was scared, even in front of 50 people. I felt I was alone in that room.
And you felt, you might have felt in control as well.
Yeah, in control, right? Absolutely in control. So when I came out of that meeting, I felt better, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for the big league, man. Let's do this. So
that was the step up.
Yeah. So fast forward, I worked on projects for the royal family of Sharjah. I worked with some really, really big projects, handled massive IT, installations without blinking an eye, and they always used to be picture perfect. Yeah.
So how were you getting these opportunities? It sounds like it might have been referrals. You do one good job and you get another referral, and then it escalates. So how were you getting to the royal family, for example? Where did that come from?
So it was that phase where we were not having a cloud-based solution. The cloud was not there. The Amazon was not there, right? And people wanted something else. They were bored of on-prem, buying all those servers and racks. They were bored of that, and they didn't know what to do next, right? And I was a guy in Dubai who actually came up with the concept of let's do off-prem. So I came up with an idea of building your own Amazon AWS like installation, and it will still work. Don't worry, it will still run. You'll still have the traffic. You'll still have speed and everything. So when they used to search online, or when they used to ask people, they were like, "You must meet Ammar." So, and Dubai was at that time was a very small place. So people will know you. You'll become famous. So that's how it was. It was just doing honest work to the best of the ability, and then it was just spreading in a nice way.
Good, yeah. So 17 years in Dubai is a long time, right? What changes did you see over those 17 years in terms of like opportunity for people over there, and particularly the city itself, right? Because that's come a long way in that space of time. What changes did you see in that time?
So Dubai is a very interesting place. How would I compare Dubai? Oh, I will compare it with a Hong Kong or a Singapore, where people come in, right, and their core existence of living in Dubai is work visa. So you cannot live in Dubai without a work visa. That means you're there for work.
Mm.
That is all you have to do there, right? And then you have locals, who live there, who are Emiratis, great, fantastic people, but they're, were born there. Again, great people, right? So Dubai was this place where it was buzzing all the time. It was new every single day. Every single day, they're building something. There are new people coming in, and I've seen Dubai, from, let's say, a small metropolis to this giant powerhouse, right? It was growing. So when I went to Dubai, there was no Burj Khalifa. They built Burj Khalifa. I saw it in front of my eyes coming up. The Dubai Metro. We didn't have Dubai Metro, so I saw that being built in front of my eyes. All that. So Dubai is really a place that is very progressive. It's incredibly fast. And now when I go there, I see that the spirit is still there. It is now getting much better, much more in order. Everything is built on blockchain. The e-government, everything is online. You can do whatever you want. Fingertips. It's everything is on mobile. It's just incredible, insane.
Wow. So if someone was looking to found a business today, this
Yeah.
week, is Dubai a good place to go for that?
Dubai is a good place to go for that, right? But you must have a reason for that. So I would say it might be challenging to fundraise in Dubai if you're a non Dubai living entrepreneur, or who is brand new in Dubai. Let's say it might take a bit more time. Than
Yeah. Lots of people use the tax as a reason to go over there because you don't pay any tax.
Hmm.
Do you see that as a big benefit for people going over there who are looking to become founders?
So to be completely honest, if you're just looking to, let's say, have less tax, for example, I think there are many countries and places, even in Malta, now they have 5% corporate tax. You have to have a different structure of the company, and you can still have that tax like you have in Dubai, for example. So tax should not be the reason. If you want to cater to the Arab world, to the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, Dubai might be the place, but tax should not be the reason to be in any place, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. So those 17 years, we could be here for hours talking about that, I'm sure, Ammar. But let's fast forward to like when you decided that Dubai wasn't going to be your home anymore. Like, talk to me about that. When did you first think, I might move away from Dubai?
So in 2019, I stopped working for others. I stopped working as a consultant, as a fractional CTO for these big guys, and I started Final Rentals. Okay, because I wanted to help the local guys. There are so many local companies in the world like Kiran's Rent a Car or Simon's Rent a Car, but they are not getting any bookings online because they're nowhere to be seen on the places like Kayak, Skyscanner, and other places. And I wanted to help them, right? So I started Final Rentals. And for the first year, we were in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the Northern Emirates. And it was fantastic. I won many awards, the Global Cloud Award, Technology Award, from the Gulf Capital Mead Awards and all those things. And then came the pandemic. So when pandemic happened, right? So from, let's say, April up until October, November, we were completely shut down because car rental was a non-essential sector, right, in the COVID times. That's when I realized that there was no support, there were no furlough rules, right? Nothing against Dubai, because it was always designed like this, right? It's a place where you want to invest, not where you want to get a grant or get relief. We believe it's a place where rich people will go and they'll spend their money, build a business for Dubai for themselves. That's fine. But in pandemic, there were no furlough schemes. We were still paying rent of the office that was sealed. So imagine a building is sealed, right? For 8 months, you're still paying rent. You can't go inside, right? So those were some of the red flags that I was like, okay, so this place where I've worked for 17, 18 years, and when something wrong happens, right? Once in a lifetime thing happens, what are the support measures? For example, as a founder, I felt isolated at that time, and that's when I decided I'm going to go out.
And you chose Wales?
I chose Dansk, Poland.
Really?
Yes. So I applied for the Polish Innovation Prize. It's called the Poland Prize. So I was one of the 18 companies in that cohort. So I went to the Techstars, Poland. So moved to Techseed in Gdańsk in January 2021. and I stayed there for 13 months. And then February 5th, 2022, I landed into Cardiff
Wow.
for the first time ever.
Yeah. What was your first thoughts when you landed in Cardiff?
I'll be completely honest with you. I had
Go on.
no idea. You know, I didn't take it very seriously because I was a part of the FinTech Wales cohort 2 program. I applied for it, right? And there's also a context, right? So in November 2021, right, we were called by UK embassy in Warsaw, and they said, "Come, let's have a tea
Mm.
with us." Oh, fine. So when there are also other English-speaking founders and also some Polish founders also, and they introduced us this thing called GEP, the Global Entrepreneur Program, where you can apply for innovator visa into the UK. You can try and raise funds, SCIS, EIS. I was not aware of all that, and you can start a business here and you can grow. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic because Poland was great, very low cost. It's not as expensive as Cardiff or London, for example, but language barrier was there. And when you reach at the age of 35, 38, you can't learn a new language. You can learn a few words, but you can't really articulate in a way that you like to. So Polish was a barrier, and I was looking for another place to move to. So yeah, so I applied for that. Then I met Eamon Tohami. Eamon Tohami was a part of the GEP program. He was a deal maker and then he said, "Come to Cardiff. You can go anywhere you want, London, wherever, but come to Cardiff also and see if you like it. You can be here. Fine." Took a 6 a.m. flight from Gdańsk to Stansted to Paddington to Cardiff. So the moment, so I'm a vibe person. I believe in vibe. I believe in there's a magic in the universe. There's a magic in the aura of people. There's a thing called persona. There's a magnetic field about things. That's how I feel. Okay. And the moment I landed in Cardiff, I took my foot off the train. I walked out of the station. I saw the BBC building. Still have that picture, by the way. I'm like, you know what? This is my place.
That quickly.
This is my place. This is my Silicon Valley. That's it. That was the feeling.
What a love story. I love that.
It is insane, right?
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, it's insane. Just 3 years ago from today, right?
Yeah.
3 years ago, right? And I didn't even know where was Wales, how it works, Cardiff, the difference between England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. I didn't know anything about all these things. I'll be completely honest with you. I just liked it. I'm like, this place is nice. I'm gonna be here. That's it. It's cool. And it's so funny because the first place that I stayed here was Easy Hotel.
Oh yeah.
Fitzalan.
Yeah, just on the corner.
Right, on the corner. And next to Easy Hotel is Brunel House.
I know.
The B building, right? That's where I am right now.
You're still there? Wow.
That's where my office is,
Yeah.
right? And it's growing. And I was just passing by. I like the B. I'm like, this building is really cool. Maybe some bank's building. Little did I know that I'll be there, working there every single day.
And you've been there. That's your only office since you've been in Cardiff?
It's been a year and a half now. My first office was Tech Marina. Before it was Tramshed, on and off. You might have seen me. Tech Marina, then from Tech Marina back to Tramshed, then from Tramshed to Brunel House.
Wow, what a journey. Right, I'm excited to talk about Finalrentals then. So 2019, you set up the business and you've decided that you don't want to be a consultant anymore, working for these big brands. You want to give back to the smaller brands and give them a fairer chance of increasing rentals. What was the transition like from moving away from consulting, particularly to larger brands, to becoming a business owner again and working with smaller brands? How was that transition?
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy because I started with my own savings, right? So when I told people, hey, I'm starting this thing in my industry. Oh, wow, you are, yeah. I'm like, wow, great. So I got my first 10, 11 B2B contracts in a minute. So I'm really grateful for that. But you must understand one thing: running a business as a startup versus when you are a consultant, they are two different things. So I started with the savings of £250,000 if I convert it in dirhams. So I started exactly like in January, and guess what? November 15th, that money is gone because I started with a bank. So I got billboards on Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai. I was on the Forbes. I was everywhere, and I was running ads on Zia Flam and all these places. I was spending money. I had a nice office near the Burj Khalifa. It's called Business Bay, the area. I had an office there. I had 11 employees. I started with a bank, right? And I lost all that money within the first 11 months.
So your run rate was around £30,000 per month when you were in Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a shocker, to me, because I always had this, fantastic, life in terms of as a consultant. I was making good money. These companies were paying me, good money when I was building the projects, and I didn't understand the dynamics of it. When you run a startup, it's a different game, right? So I lost all that money by November, and I still remember the day when I saw that we have only 10,000 left in account, and of course I had to fire people, I had to sell a few things, but I went to the bank and I got the bank statement out, physical bank statement, and I was checking every single page where I have leaked that money, and everything looked legit. Right, this one, yeah, exactly, yeah, this, yeah, paid for the, yeah, perfect, yeah,
That was me.
yeah, exactly. Okay, wow, shocker. If it was like a slap on the face, right? But the funny thing about being digital is that if you're running a digital company, it's not a shop. It still runs even if you're out of money. All you're paying for hosting, nobody will know that it's not running, right? So I took that slap on the face, right? And I took a trip to Milano to my father. So he was living there with my mom and my siblings. I was the only one left, not to, couldn't go to Europe because of my age. Everyone else got the immigration and they moved, right? So I met my father after almost 13 years. And I saw my father, and he lives outside Milan. It's a place called Novate Milanese. It's like a suburb of Milan. And I saw him as a very happy person. He was happy about small things in life. Buy one, get one free. Today we'll get this pasta, we'll get this thing. I'm like, wow, man, this is crazy. And I have built something that people love, they like. What am I sad about? Yes, of course, I lost, let's say, quarter mil. That's perfectly fine. I can always make that. I was making more money when I was a kid in Pakistan. What's wrong here? So that trip to Italy changed my life.
Wow.
I became more simplistic. I stopped investing in expensive watches, stopped investing in, buying expensive cars and all those things. So I started living absolutely in a very minimalistic way, right? I stopped buying, new clothes, all those things. Change as a person. I started investing in tech. More time in tech, more time in making our technology seamless, more automated. What if there's nobody, right, to operate this? Will it still work, for example? So I canceled the contract of the office, the whole thing, and then I moved to a place called DTech, Dubai Technology Entrepreneurship Campus. Okay, so that was a place where they were incubating startups. So imagine a Y Combinator version of Dubai, where they give you free office for a year. You can go in and you can start working alone as a solo entrepreneur. So I started my life again from there, right? And since then, that same mindset I've carried through when I went to Poland or when I came to Cardiff. Also.
So that one trip changed everything.
That one trip.
Yeah.
Meeting my father after 13 years, because in his mind, I was still his rich kid who was in Dubai doing great things. He saw everything online and stuff. So he didn't know what's going on inside me.
Yeah.
Right? But I was like, you know what? This is life. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Stop chasing, all those bounties.
Do you think it was actually a curse that you had £250,000 savings? Because when you started the business, like, oh, we can afford this big office. If you maybe had less money or, you didn't have that substantial amount, you might have been a bit smarter with where you were spending and what you were bringing in at such an early stage.
So I had a thought about this, that if I had no money or less money, would I change anything? The problem is my last business that I sold when I was in Pakistan, I was spending whatever, as I mentioned. So my spending behavior never changed. It didn't change because then I came into this consulting business where you keep getting money every other month, whatever. So my financial literacy on running a business was poor anyway, right? So that lesson was due. Even if I had 100,000, I would have lost 100,000.
So you got the lesson you needed.
I got the lesson I needed, exactly.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, so before we come on to the raising capital for Finalrentals, I've noticed many awards that you shared with me. So let's just do the list. It was too long for me to go. So what awards have you won in your career? Come on, this is a chance to promote yourself, and it's well needed. So tell us.
So the first award that I've won is the Gulf Capital Mead Award. It's like an Oscar for tech in Dubai. I won the award in the category of the Digital Business of the Year. So I won it for our cloud solution that we have built for car rentals. And that award is very special to me. I'll tell you why. Because this award is given to people who have raised more than 10 million, right? So the nominations in that category were companies or founders who have raised more than 10 million.
Mm.
And I was a bootstrapper in that category.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I went for the interview, for that award, they asked me these questions. So I've done this. Great. So how much money have you raised? Nothing. So first thing first, they looked at each other. The first question was, how on earth he got here? He doesn't even qualify for this award because we have a category criteria, 10 million. But hang on a minute. He has done all this without raising money. Wow. So they asked me, if you raise money now, will you raise money? I said, listen, I will never raise money for the sake of raising money, just because it gives me red carpet and PR. We have raised money this money. I'm not that person. Yes, I will raise money when I need to raise money, when I can see that there's an upside to it. And there was a guy in that judging, let's say, panel, and he was like, "This is the best thing I've heard all day." All right, okay, thank you. We'll let you know. And fast forward, I won the award. So that was one very, very special award. Second award that I won was the Seamless Middle East Award, Expo 2020 in Dubai, the best in UI UX and design in mobility for car rental. Again, very special award. It was in COVID times, after the COVID times. So I think very special award, that we won. Then of course Entrepreneur magazine, Entrepreneur Middle East, Rising Stars. And then when I came to Poland, I won the Tech Seed Award, for innovation from my cohort. And then when I came to Cardiff has been very, very, very kind to me. So whenever I apply for an award, they give it to me. I don't know why. So won the FinTech Wales FinTech Startup of the Year, right? Then FinTech Leader of the Year, highly commended. Couldn't win. Louis, won, right? And then of course the Global Business of the Year, the Elliot Miles Award, Wales Technology Award. That I have taken Wales to the world in 50 plus countries. So that was also very special. Welsh Government Export Champion Award, of course, Insider Magazine, 40 Under 40. So I think these awards, they've been very special.
Well done. You should be very proud. Those are some incredible awards.
You have made me remember all those,
Good.
memories now.
Yeah, good. Those are substantial achievements, and just thinking about where you started as an intern in Microsoft and in Pakistan, and you've come all that way. So
absolutely,
yeah, well done. That brings me on to the investments that you said. I think you've raised money twice with Finalrentals.
That's right. Yes.
Firstly, we'll touch on how much did you raise, if that's public knowledge, and then do you think these awards helped you raise your profile when going to raise money?
So in total, we have raised more than $1 million, right? At at a six-figure valuation, right? And the most important thing about this raise is that I come from a school of bootstrapping, right? So I didn't know what is fundraising and how it works and all those things. So I would say FinTech Wales was the catalyst for me, in raising money, because mine was maybe the fastest raise ever. So I came to Cardiff, absolute newbie, came in February, finished my cohort in May, for example, and September I had the money in the bank for the first pre-seed round. That involves Fuel Ventures from London in SCIS. That involves Angel Invest Wales and some of the prominent angel investors in Wales, right? So that I think that was very, very special. Second funding round was more challenging. Why? Because I personally believe that in Wales, if I dare say that, I think in Wales it's very hard to raise a second funding round. It's a great place for a pre-seed, but somewhere in seed, I think we have lost our way. We haven't helped many of the startups who were successfully raising a pre-seed, but when they reach the seed phase, they face challenges, or they just go out or raise from elsewhere.
Do you think that's because of revenue that they may be at? Do you think startups don't get to the revenue of, like, if we just compare like for like London, South Wales or Wales, typically a London company may do better in terms of revenue and customer base. Do you think that might be the reason?
That might be the reason, but we must understand one thing, that there are many companies that we see today, right? And we look up to them, like Uber. So before turning a dime, Uber raised 6 times. Okay. Same with Spotify, same with many companies. They needed help, right? They had a great product, but they needed help. And the help wasn't there, for example, right? I think we need, let's say right now, if our risk appetite is, let's say, at 20%, at least it should be at 40%. If we can help more companies do better, right? That's the problem. Of course, less revenue because you are sitting in Wales, In Cardiff, for example, it's difficult, and the difficult drive also. Maybe a London-based entrepreneur with his team is far more hungrier because they have bigger bills to pay versus someone living in here in comfort zone because they have less bills to pay. They feel less hungry. It's all psychological. But overall, I would say in Wales we need more capital or faster capital for seed. So I was able to raise money from London Business School, Syndicate E100, from US. So it was a mixed blend round.
I definitely agree on the risk appetite. We just look at the US, for example, and it's not unusual for a company at pre-seed or seed to raise 5, 10, 20 million
Yeah.
dollars. And it's difficult for a company here to get $500,000 for a seed round. So
Yeah.
the risk appetite over there is we need to take note from that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, to the founders also, and I would say that don't rush after the numbers. Like, oh, I want to raise $1 million or I want to raise a 2 million, for example. I think the bigger question is where this money will be spent, right? US is a bit of an outlier in this way because it's like an investment industry where you have to put the money in and ask for blitz scaling. I think we're not in a phase in the world where we can blitz scale because maybe it was good in early 2000 or 2010 onwards, but now blitz scaling is not there because see, the thing is we have AI, we have so many other tools. The competitor also has the same advantage. It's like a level playing field, right? So I think it's more about sustainable scaling where you raise money and you say, I'm going to use this money, right, to do a 1.5x, 2x, 3x and see what's next. That's how I see it. Gone are the days of 100x.
Yeah, good point. Okay. I feel like we could be here for another hour talking about this, Ammar. So we're going to have to, I want to talk about the future, right? You're doing very, very well at the minute. The business is scaling. You've got a home in South Wales. What's going to happen over the next, 6 to 24 months to take Finalrentals to the next stage for you?
So we have a simple target in mind, right? So I want us to be a 50 million net revenue business, right, and $500 million in gross, right?
By when?
Right, in the next 3 years, right? So that's what I'm aiming for. It's not easy. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Is it looking impossible? Sometimes yes, it does. So it's all a part of the game, right? But don't forget, my industry is $121 billion industry a year. All I'm asking for is 0.5% market share. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's possible. So that's what we are aiming for. Every person who works in Finalrentals, they know exactly, that's my goal. So sometimes, it's great to share your goals, with your team. So they know exactly, where this guy is going crazy, for example, and they can, work towards it. So we are working towards this.
Those are big goals, and I really love hearing about big goals with other people. So the obvious answer to the question I may have asked is, how do you get there? More sales, more business, right? Or if you can be aware enough, what would be the one thing that's going to stop you from getting there, do you think?
If people stop renting cars.
Do you think that could be
if they stop traveling, so which I don't see happening in the next 2 decades.
What about these? This has just come to me now. What about these self-driving cars in the US? Is that going to be a supplement to your business, or is that going to be a blocker?
I would say it will be a supplementary, even a complementary tool. I would love to have people ordering their self-driven car from my platform. I'm okay with that.
So there's no ways that you can think of at the minute where the rental market will slow down. You don't see that happening at all with the pace at which we're developing, the AI tools. You think the rental market we're good?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, right, where the world is heading right now is a car was an asset for my father, but for you, it's a disposable thing that you can use right now and give it away, right? So our emotional connection with the car has changed. That's where we come in to give you the car on temporary basis. So I would like to believe that the new generation will even rent more cars.
Exciting times. If you could think back to the whole journey, 21 years, you had to give one piece of advice to a young person watching this who's probably aspiring to start a business, what would you say? If you had to summarize everything.
So a lot of people say, okay, just take the leap of faith or believe in yourself and all that. So I have a more real, crude, view on this, right? So we ask people that, hey, I'm starting this company. Will this work? Do you think it will work? Or do you think it will not work or whatever? I personally believe as a founder, somewhere behind in the back of your head and the heart, you know exactly if it will work or not, right? And what will make it work, what will not make it work, right? So before you ask people, right, ask yourself. And if your mind says it is going to work, it will work. Because entrepreneurship, right, is the most stupid thing on earth, right? The distance between me and stupidity is the money in the bank. The less money in the bank, the more stupid I am. Oh, he started a company that doesn't even work, doesn't make any money, right? Our job is to prolong that distance, right? That's the thing. It doesn't make sense on paper. Why? Because imagine if it's 2006, I tell you, hey, Kiran, I'm starting a company where people will create their profile and they will also tell me if they're single or not. Great. That's called Facebook. But hang on a minute. Back then, it didn't make any sense. So don't look for sense. It will not make any sense. It's craziness. It's real craziness, right? So, but if you believe in that craziness, it will turn into a great business. So you know somewhere in the back of your head always if it works or not, and don't lie to yourself.
That's really good advice, because when you think of an idea, you put lots of thought into it. You think about how it might work, what might go wrong. When you tell someone the idea, they don't have the background information to think about the idea. Most of the time, they'll say, no, that will never work. That will never work.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is back yourself, be confident in your idea.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
take the leap.
And many people told me this name will not work. Finalrentals. So many of my friends told me that, listen, Ammar, it means I'm dying. Final rent. It's my last rental. It's final. It's death. It's negative. Okay. And okay, you can buy that idea sometimes. But for some reason, in the back of my head, this works. Today there are people in 51 countries who have paid to put who have paid me to put my logo on their wall. And that says Finalrentals. So yeah, I mean, you have to believe it in the end.
Incredible. What a great story. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast today, Ammar. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
And that is the end of the episode with Ammar. What an inspiring story from an intern at Microsoft back in Pakistan to dominating the rental market right here from South Wales. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and be sure to tune in for next week's episode.